For Buddhists, questioning the existence of Gautama Buddha is not just seen as heretical but also as an outsider's misguided attempt to undermine the foundational truths of their faith. From a Buddhist perspective, any doubt cast on the reality of the Buddha's life is akin to blasphemy, a direct affront to the core principles and historical foundations of Buddhism. Their answer to whether Gautama Buddha was a real person is a resolute and unequivocal affirmation: Gautama Buddha was indeed a historical figure, born, achieved enlightenment, and passed away in India over 2,600 years ago. This belief is nearly universally accepted among Buddhists, and very few, if any, within the community challenge this deeply rooted conviction. The narrative of Buddha's life and teachings is not only a matter of spiritual significance but also a historical cornerstone that forms the bedrock of Buddhist practice and philosophy. However, in the pursuit of historical accuracy and scholarly integrity, it is crucial to delve deeper into this question: was Gautama Buddha a historical figure, or has his existence been elevated to the status of legend over the centuries? To establish the historical reality of any figure, especially one as ancient as Gautama Buddha, we must rely on a body of sufficient and credible evidence. This evidence typically encompasses archaeological findings, contemporaneous historical records, and other forms of verifiable data that can withstand rigorous academic scrutiny. The question then arises: does Buddhism possess such scientific evidence to incontrovertibly prove the existence of Gautama Buddha? Are there tangible, empirical artifacts and documents that can validate the traditional accounts of his life and works? While the teachings and the influence of Buddhism are well documented and undisputed, the tangible evidence for Gautama Buddha's existence primarily relies on ancient texts, inscriptions, and relics. Historical research and archaeological discoveries have provided some supporting evidence, such as the inscriptions of Emperor Ashoka, which reference the Buddha and his teachings. However, these sources, while invaluable, often invite further investigation and interpretation. Hence, the quest for historical validation is an ongoing journey, blending faith with the meticulous demands of historical inquiry. Using scriptures to confirm the Buddha, in the two major schools of Buddhism, Theravada and Mahayana, there are differing and detailed accounts of the life of Prince Siddhartha, who later became known as the Buddha. According to Mahayana traditions, Prince Siddhartha renounced his royal life at the young age of 19, driven by a profound desire to seek enlightenment. For the next 5 years, he engaged in intense spiritual search and meditation, and subsequently, he subjected himself to severe austerities for 6 additional years. At the age of 31, he attained enlightenment under the Bodhi tree, marking a pivotal moment in his spiritual journey. Following his enlightenment, he devoted the next 49 years of his life to teaching and spreading his insights before passing away at the age of 80. In Mahayana tradition, the significant milestones of his life are meticulously recorded: his birth on the 8th day of the 4th month, his enlightenment on the 8th day of the 12th month, and his death on the 15th day of the 2nd month. Conversely, Theravada Buddhism offers a different chronological narrative. It asserts that Prince Siddhartha renounced his life as a prince at the age of 29. He embarked on his quest for enlightenment and, after a relatively brief period of searching, he underwent 6 years of rigorous austerities. He ultimately achieved enlightenment at the age of 35. Following this profound realization, he spent the next 45 years disseminating his teachings and guiding his followers until he passed away at the age of 80. In Theravada tradition, all these pivotal events are noted to occur on the 15th day of the 4th lunar month. Adherents of both Mahayana and Theravada Buddhism staunchly maintain their respective accounts, often dismissing the validity of the other. From an objective standpoint, it is challenging to use the records from one tradition to invalidate the other. Each account holds deep historical and spiritual significance for its followers, embodying the rich and diverse interpretations of the Buddha's life and teachings within the broader Buddhist tradition. The contradictions in records, the existence of these contradictions can be attributed to the possibility that no individual named Siddhartha lived during the purported time. If Prince Siddhartha were truly the Buddha and had renounced his worldly life on a specific date, his followers and the wise men of that era would have meticulously recorded and preserved this information for posterity. However, the historical records remain ambiguous and inconsistent, according to scriptures, upon attaining enlightenment, the Buddha initially hesitated to teach his newfound understanding. It was only after a Brahma, a celestial being, persuaded him that he decided to share his insights. This account, though significant, does not conclusively prove that Prince Siddhartha attained enlightenment or that he subsequently imparted his teachings. The presence of Brahma, depicted as a mortal unaware of enlightenment, introduces another layer of complexity and raises questions about the authenticity and interpretation of these ancient texts. These contradictions suggest that the story of Prince Siddhartha and his transformation into the Buddha might be a symbolic or mythological narrative rather than a historical fact. The lack of precise records and the presence of mythological elements, such as the intervention of a Brahma, point to the possibility that the accounts of Buddha's life and enlightenment are more allegorical than literal. Consequently, the historical existence of Siddhartha Gautama and the exact nature of his enlightenment remain subjects of scholarly debate and interpretation. Archaeological evidence. On November 25, 2013, a groundbreaking announcement was made by an international archaeological team regarding one of the most significant discoveries in the history of Buddhism. The team unveiled evidence that definitively identified the precise birthplace of Siddhartha Gautama, known to the world as Buddha, and provided substantial proof that Buddhism originated in the 6th century BCE. This remarkable revelation was the result of extensive excavations conducted at the Maya Devi Temple in Lumbini, Nepal, a site long venerated as the birthplace of Buddha. During their meticulous excavations, the archaeologists unearthed the remains of an ancient wooden structure buried beneath the temple's existing brick foundations. Radiocarbon dating and other scientific analyses confirmed that this structure dated back to the 6th century BCE, aligning perfectly with the traditional time frame of Buddha's life. The wooden structure's significance lies in its unprecedented historical context, as it suggests that Lumbini was indeed a focal point for early Buddhist worship and a site of immense religious importance during Buddha's lifetime. The discovery included not only the wooden remains but also a collection of artifacts and cultural materials that provided further insights into the early development of Buddhist practices. These findings have profound implications for our understanding of the early history of Buddhism, offering tangible evidence that supports historical and textual sources which have long pointed to Lumbini as Buddha's birthplace. The international team's efforts have thus shed new light on the origins of one of the world's major religions, reaffirming the sacred status of Lumbini and deepening our appreciation for the rich cultural and religious heritage of the region. The existence of the Sangha, the revered community of monks and nuns established by the Buddha over 2 millennia ago, has remarkably endured the passage of time, continuing its spiritual journey uninterrupted to this very day. This sacred assembly, rooted in the profound teachings of the Buddha, serves as a living embodiment of his wisdom and compassion. Across the globe, the Sangha perpetuates the Buddha's legacy by organizing numerous events, ceremonies, and teachings that illuminate various aspects of his life and philosophy. These gatherings are not merely traditional rituals but profound educational experiences that allow both the monastic and lay communities to delve deeply into the Dharma. The cosmic law and order. Through meticulous oral traditions, written scriptures, and modern interpretations, the Sangha ensures that the teachings of the Buddha are preserved and conveyed with utmost authenticity. These teachings encompass a vast array of practices, from meditation and mindfulness to ethical conduct and wisdom, providing a holistic approach to spiritual development. The Sangha's commitment to maintaining the purity of the Buddha's teachings has fostered a sense of continuity and relevance in contemporary society. Monasteries and meditation centers worldwide serve as hubs where individuals can immerse themselves in Buddhist practices, guided by the experienced and enlightened members of the Sangha. Moreover, the Sangha plays a pivotal role in the cultural and spiritual life of Buddhist communities, offering solace, guidance, and inspiration. The rituals and festivals they conduct, such as Vesak and Kathina, are vibrant expressions of the Buddhist faith, bringing together people from all walks of life to celebrate and reflect upon the Buddha's enduring influence. In essence, the Sangha is not just a historical institution but a dynamic and evolving entity that adapts to the needs of the time while steadfastly preserving the core principles laid down by the Buddha. Its unwavering dedication to spreading the Buddha's message of peace, compassion, and wisdom ensures that his teachings continue to enlighten and transform lives. Generation after generation. Buddha's relics. After his passing, the body of Buddha was ceremoniously cremated, adhering to the customs and traditions of the time. The ashes and sacred relics, which included fragments of his bones, were then meticulously divided and distributed among 8 prominent kingdoms in ancient India. These kingdoms were ruled by kings who were deeply devoted to Buddha's teachings and sought to honor his memory and preserve his legacy. Each of these rulers constructed a stupa, a domed structure often used as a shrine, to house and venerate the sacred relics. These stupas became significant pilgrimage sites for followers of Buddhism, serving as focal points for worship and meditation, in the centuries that followed. Emperor Ashoka, one of India's most illustrious and influential rulers, played a pivotal role in further propagating Buddhism. Recognizing the profound spiritual importance of these relics, Ashoka initiated a grand project to redistribute them across his vast empire. He collected the relics from the original stupas and divided them into even smaller portions. Ashoka then commissioned the construction of numerous stupas throughout his realm, ensuring that the presence and sanctity of the Buddha's relics were accessible to a broader population. This strategic redistribution not only facilitated the spread of Buddhism but also reinforced the religious and cultural unity of his empire. Through these efforts, Emperor Ashoka cemented his legacy as a devout patron of Buddhism, contributing significantly to the religion's enduring influence and widespread reverence. Conclusion: was Buddha real? The existence of Buddha is not just a historical question but a profound spiritual inquiry. Buddha, known as Siddhartha Gautama before his enlightenment, was indeed a real person. However, recognizing his reality goes beyond mere historical acknowledgement. It is an experiential truth that can only be fully grasped by those who have achieved enlightenment themselves, known in Buddhist terms as arahants. An arahant is someone who has reached the highest level of spiritual attainment, fully understanding and embodying the teachings of the Buddha. To affirm the reality of the Buddha and his teachings as absolute truth, one must undertake a rigorous path of meditation, moral discipline, and wisdom. This journey requires profound dedication and insight, and it is aimed at those who are truly wise and discerning. The practice involves deep meditation, ethical conduct, and the cultivation of wisdom to transcend ordinary understanding and experience the profound truths the Buddha taught. The historical existence of Siddhartha Gautama, who is believed to have lived and attained enlightenment over 2,600 years ago in what is now modern-day Nepal and India, is a well-documented aspect of Buddhist tradition. However, the true significance of his life and teachings lies in the eternal truths he discovered and shared. These truths, encapsulated in the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path, provide a timeless guide to overcoming suffering and achieving spiritual liberation. The Buddha's teachings are not confined to any particular time or place. They transcend history and geography, offering a universal path to enlightenment. Whether or not one accepts the historical details of Siddhartha Gautama's life, the essence of his teachings remains ever relevant and transformative. The one who realized and taught this path to ultimate freedom is revered as our Buddha, whose wisdom and compassion continue to illuminate the way for countless seekers on the path to enlightenment.